The rope swayed gently in the early morning wind. Marcus Garvey Park, 1946, 6:23. An older woman walking her dog noticed something hanging from the old oak tree near the park's north entrance. At first, she thought it was just laundry caught in the branches. But as she got closer, she froze. Then came the screaming. The NYPD arrived by 6:47 a.m. Detective Robert Walsh was first on the scene. The moment he saw the tree, he stopped in his tracks. His breath caught. This wasn't just another case. This was a message. A young black man, maybe 19, maybe 20, was hanging from a noose. His feet were 3 feet off the ground, head tilted in a way that told Walsh this had not been quick. He wore a Columbia University sweatshirt, khaki pants. One shoe is missing. His hands showed signs of struggle, rope burns deep and angry. Pinned to his chest, a note. "Colors know your place." Walsh scanned the quiet park. Empty, but that tree stood in plain view from 3 streets. Whoever did this wanted it to be seen. I wanted Harlem to feel it. Even in New York, even in 1946, the message was clear. Terror doesn't need the South. It's right here. This was a lynching. In Harlem, the young man's wallet was still in his pocket. With trembling hands, Walsh pulled it out. A student ID, Thomas Johnson. Columbia University. His heart dropped. Not that Johnson. Please do not modify it. His partner, Detective Sullivan, stepped up. Who is he? Walsh whispered, Thomas Johnson. So we've got an ID? Walsh nodded slowly. We also have a problem. His uncle is Bumpy. Both detectives stood silent. Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, Harlem's most respected and feared name. Sullivan stared at the body. The note, the scene. What do we write in the report? Walsh looked down. 20 years on the force. All the things he thought the badge meant. Justice, law, truth. But this wasn't a world where the truth got justice. 5 white men did this, Walsh said, voice low. Even if we found them, no jury would convict. Not in 46, he looked up at Sullivan. His voice hardened. We write suicide. File it. Notify the family. Then we stay out of what comes next. Sullivan raised an eyebrow. You think Bumpy? Walsh cut him off. I think those 5 men just signed their own death warrants. Sullivan was quiet, then finally nodded. Suicide. Got it. They cut down Thomas's body, filed the paperwork, and waited. Because they knew the storm was coming. Thomas Johnson was 19, a first-year student at Columbia, pre-law. He wanted to be a civil rights attorney. Wanted to fight injustice in courtrooms, not streets. He was brilliant, soft-spoken, always reading, always thinking. His professor said he had one of the sharpest minds they'd seen. He lived with his mother, Ruth Johnson, Bumpy's sister, in a small apartment on 135th Street. Every Sunday at 6 a.m., he walked through Marcus Garvey Park to attend Abyssinian Baptist Church. Same time. Same route. Someone had been watching. The Klan in 46 wasn't just in the South. They had quiet chapters in cities, New York, Chicago, Boston. In Harlem, a cell of 15 men met regularly. By day, they were factory workers, store clerks, mechanics. Nobody suspected a thing. On September 13th, they drew straws. 5 men chosen for a special message. A warning. A reminder. Danny Morrison. Rick Sullivan. Lou Bennett. Frank Dorsey. Charlie Ross. They picked Thomas because he was everything they feared. Smart, visible, successful. On the morning of September 15th, 6:05 a.m., Thomas entered the park, Bible in hand. He never made it to church. They stepped from the shadows. No hoods. This wasn't about symbolism. This was personal. Thomas ran, made it maybe 20 feet. But they caught him. He fought, hard. He was small, but full of fire. His glasses flew. Bible dropped. 5 men held him down. One of them, Danny, pulled the rope. Thomas pleaded. Please, I didn't do anything. Charlie Ross hesitated. For a moment, he saw what they were really doing. Not punishing, murdering, but Danny threw the rope over the branch. Tightened the noose. Thomas's feet lifted. He struggled, clawed at the rope, tried to breathe, tried to live. 4 long minutes passed. When it was done, they pinned the note to his chest. Walked away like it was just another Sunday, believing no one would care, believing he was just another name. Another boy. They were wrong. At 7:12 a.m., Bumpy Johnson got the call. Illinois Gordon, his right hand, could barely speak. Boss, it's Thomas. Ruth's boy. They found him. He's gone. Silence, boss? They're calling it suicide. But there was a note. Bumpy hung up. He sat still for 10 full minutes, remembering Thomas at age 8 playing chess. His graduation. That proud smile on Ruth's face when her boy started Columbia. Then, slowly, Bumpy stood. I'm going to Ruth's. She lived just 4 blocks away. By the time he got there, she was sitting on the couch, surrounded by neighbors. Silent, shattered. But no words can comfort a mother who's lost her only child. When Bumpy walked into Ruth's apartment, she looked up. Her eyes were red, hollow. They took my baby, she whispered. Bumpy sat beside her and took her hand. I know. She shook her head slowly. They're saying suicide. That Thomas did this to himself? My boy would never. It wasn't suicide, Bumpy said quietly. It was murder. 5 men, Klan. Ruth's body shook with sobs. Bumpy held her, letting her cry on his shoulder. And as he sat there, he felt something he hadn't felt in 2 decades of running Harlem streets: helplessness. Power, money, influence, none of it could bring Thomas back. But there was still something he could do. Once Ruth had cried herself empty, Bumpy spoke, calm, measured. I'm going to handle this. Handle what? She asked. The men who did this. Ruth looked up. Will it bring my son back? No. Then what's the point? The point is justice, Bumpy said. So no other mother in Harlem has to bury her child because of hate. She was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded. Then do what you have to do. But Bumpy, her voice broke, make them understand. Make them feel what I feel. I will, he said. I promise. By 9 a.m., Bumpy stood beneath the old oak in Marcus Garvey Park. The body was gone. The rope cut down. But the police had missed things. Bumpy didn't. He found 5 cigarette butts, different brands, left in a circle. 5 sets of shoe prints. He memorized each one. Work boots, factory issue. He spotted a torn button, navy blue. Looked like it came off a uniform. Then he saw something else. A burned matchbook from Ollie's Tavern, a bar on East 96th, outside Harlem. A white neighborhood. Bumpy took it all. Every clue. Then walked the park, searching for anyone who might have seen something. Near the north entrance, he found Curtis, an older man who slept on benches. One of the invisible. Bumpy sat beside him. Curtis. Curtis tensed. Mr. Johnson. I don't want trouble. No trouble. Just truth. You get protection. And a little something extra. Tell me what you saw. Curtis looked around nervous, then leaned closer. 5 white men. They came around 5:30, sat by that tree, smoking, waiting. I heard him talking, laughing about teaching some Columbia kid a lesson. Did you catch a name? Just one. Tall guy, They called him Danny. Said they were heading to Allie's Tavern after. Said they always go there after work. Bumpy handed Curtis $200. You were never here. Curtis nodded. The money vanished into his coat. He was gone seconds later. Back at his office, Bumpy made a call. Joey O'Brien, a bartender at Ollie's, a man who owed favors. They're a group that comes in early mornings? White guys? Loud, like they're celebrating? Joey didn't ask why. 3 hours later, he called back. Yeah, they were in today. Around 7:30, already drunk. Real proud of themselves. Names? Danny Morrison, Rick Sullivan, Lou Bennett, Frank Dorsey, Charlie Ross. Bumpy wrote them down slowly. They regulars? Every other Friday. Back room. My boss says it's some kind of club. What kind? Joey's voice dropped. The kind that wears hoods. Bumpy nodded. Thanks, Joey. Debt's paid. By the second night, Bumpy had full files on all 5 men. Where they lived, worked, their routines, their families. He called in his 4 most trusted men, Illinois Gordon, Willie Lee, James Quick Jackson, and Marcus Cole. They'd been through wars together. He laid the names on the table. They lynched Thomas. Bumpy said quietly, now they pay. 1 a day. 5 and 7 days. I want them to feel it. I want them to understand what they took from Harlem, what they took from Ruth. He handed out assignments, surveillance, planning, equipment. When it's done, he said, we erase every last one of them. Every man tied to that Klan chapter. Burn it to the ground. They brought Southern hate to Harlem. Let's show them Harlem doesn't scare. The men nodded. They'd known Thomas. Watched him grow up. This wasn't about business. This was family. One more thing, Bumpy added. Document everything. I want proof. So if anyone ever asks, we'll show them why. Danny Morrison worked at an auto shop in the Bronx. Lived alone. Garage in the back. September 17th, 8 p.m. Danny was in his garage, working on his car. He didn't hear the door open. 3 men stepped inside, quiet, precise. He didn't recognize them. Didn't even get a word out. They moved fast, one hand over his mouth, one arm locked behind him. Danny was strong, used to lifting engines. But these men weren't new to this. They bound his hands. With rope. The same kind of rope Danny had used. Willie Lee pulled another rope overhead. Danny's eyes went wide. He tried to scream, to shake his head. Begged out. One of them leaned in. You know why we're here. They tightened the rope, then lifted him. Slowly. Let him feel the pressure. The fear. Then they lowered him. He gasped for air. I cried. I thought it was over. They lifted him again. And again. 3 times in total. They wanted him to feel what Thomas felt. To know. To understand. On the 4th. They didn't bring him back down. They left behind one thing. A note. 1 down. 4 to go. You knew your place. Now you're in it. Harlem remembers. Thomas Johnson. Rick Sullivan was cautious after that. He locked his doors. Checked behind him. But life still had to go on. September 18th, 5:30 p.m. Rick came home. Stepped into his garage to fix a lawnmower. He didn't notice the faint smell of gasoline. Didn't see the window nailed shut. The door lock tampered. 20 minutes in, he noticed liquid across the floor. His gas can spilled. But he hadn't touched it. Then he saw it. A flicker at the door slot. A lit match. No. Rick shouted. Too late. The fire roared. He ran. The door wouldn't open. The window wouldn't budge. He smashed into the door with everything he had. Once, twice. 3rd time, the wood gave. He collapsed onto the driveway. On fire, neighbors rushed over, beat out the flames, called an ambulance. Rick survived, barely. 60% burns. His face unrecognizable. His life, as he knew it, gone, pinned to his mailbox. 2 down, 3 to go. You used fire to scare families. Now you know how it feels. Thomas did too. What Lou Bennett didn't know was that Quick Jackson and Marcus Cole had been following him for 2 days. They knew his plans before even he did. On September 19th, Lou drove 3 hours upstate. He parked near a secluded hiking trail and started into the woods, thinking he was alone. The forest was quiet, still. Too still. An hour into the hike, the sounds began. Footsteps, just behind him. Always close, but never visible. He turned. Nothing but trees. He picked up his pace. The footsteps matched. Then a voice echoed through the woods. Distant, calm. Lou? He stopped. The voice didn't come from one direction. It came from everywhere. Lou Bennett. You helped kill Thomas Johnson. Panic hit like a wave. Lou took off running, crashing through brush and branches, deeper into the forest. For 3 days, Lou wandered those woods, lost, exhausted, afraid. Quick and Marcus took turns shadowing him, never getting too close, never letting him rest. They left signs, broken twigs, fresh footprints, whispers that drifted through the trees. Every time Lou tried to sleep, he heard the voice. Every time he drank from a stream. Movement. Shadows. On the 3rd day, Lou broke. He was delirious, mumbling apologies to trees, crying out to someone who wasn't there. When search teams found him on September 22nd, he was circling the same spot over and over. No wounds, no drugs. Just pure psychological collapse. Doctors couldn't explain it. He was committed to a psychiatric hospital. And even there, he said the forest whispered Thomas Johnson's name. In his hand, they found a note. 3 down, 2 to go. You hunted a boy like prey. Now you know what it feels like. Frank Dorsey was already terrified. 3 of his friends destroyed in 5 days. He moved his family into a hotel, thinking they'd be safer. But Illinois Gordon had been watching him for nearly a week. He knew the hotel, knew when it would be empty. On September 20th at 2 a.m., fire consumed Frank's home. Gasoline had been poured around the base. Windows shattered to fuel the flames. By the time fire trucks arrived, it was gone. Every photo, every memory, his children's toys, his wife's keepsakes, all of it. Ashes. The fire chief found Frank the next morning. Mr. Dorsey, he said gently, your house is a total loss. And sir, it was arson. Deliberate, skilled. Frank didn't argue. He'd been expecting it. On the mailbox, a note, untouched by flame. 4 down, 1 to go. You destroyed a family's future. Now you understand loss. That left Charlie Ross. The last one, he'd watched 4 friends fall in 6 days. And he knew he was next. On September 21st at 5:30 a.m., Charlie made a decision. He'd turn himself in, confess. Anything was safer than the streets. He got in his car and headed for the 28th precinct. He didn't notice the car following him. Didn't realize he was being boxed in. Until it was too late. On a quiet street, Illinois Gordon stepped out and knocked on Charlie's window. Charlie looked up, recognized the face, understood instantly. Get out of the car, Charlie. Please, Charlie begged. I'm going to confess. I'm done running. Out now. Charlie stepped out shaking. You were going to run, Illinois said flatly. Like a coward. I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do it. Danny made us. Danny's gone. Illinois said, I know. Please, I'll leave New York, disappear. You'll never see me again. Illinois pulled a photo from his coat. Thomas Johnson, smiling, wearing his Columbia sweatshirt. His name was Thomas. He was 19. He wanted to be a lawyer. And you helped end that dream. Charlie was crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't bring him back, Illinois said. Then, calmly, you're not going to prison. You're not running. You're going to the warehouse on 98th Street. What? No, please, I can't. You will. Because you're going to deliver a message to your friends. Illinois leaned closer. Tonight at 9 p.m., all 15 of you meet at that warehouse. You vote. Disband and leave New York. Or stay and face what your friends faced. They'll never leave. Some will want to fight. Then let them. Illinois put the photo away. You have a choice, Charlie. Convince them to walk away. Or die with them. And then, he walked off. Charlie stood frozen. Then drove straight to the warehouse. At 9 p.m. All 15 members of the Harlem Klan cell were there. Charlie stood in front of them and told the truth about Danny, found in his garage. Rick, burned and unrecognizable. Lou, broken by the woods. Frank, left with nothing but smoke. Then he gave them the ultimatum: disband. Leave the city. Or burn tonight. Some laughed. One gangster threatening all of us? He's bluffing. Others weren't so sure. 5 of us, gone in 6 days? The room split. Voices rose. Arguments flared. Finally, a vote. 10 chose to stay. 5 walked out. Charlie was one of them. At the door, he paused. You're making a mistake. They're coming. Let them, someone shouted. We'll be ready. Charlie didn't respond. He drove straight to the bus station. Across the street, hidden in the shadows, Bumpy Johnson and his men watched. They counted. 15 in. 5 out. 10 stayed, Illinois said. Bumpy nodded. Then 10 burn. At 11:45 p.m., the attack began. Willie Lee and Quick Jackson flanked the building with bottles in hand. Marcus Cole covered the back. Illinois Gordon locked the front. Bumpy stood across the street, arms folded, watching. At 11:47, the first bottle shattered a window. Then another. And another. Within seconds, fire engulfed the warehouse. Men inside screamed. Tried to escape. The front door wouldn't budge. The back door opened. 3 men stumbled out. Coughing, clothes scorched. Marcus let them go. 7 didn't make it. The warehouse burned to the ground. The official report listed the cause as an accident, improper storage of flammable goods. Case closed in 48 hours. No suspects. No questions. Detective Walsh read the file, added it to the folder, and never mentioned it again. By September 23rd, Harlem's Klan cell was gone. 5 men had lynched. Thomas Johnson. Now call on Danny Morrison. Dead. Rick Sullivan, disfigured for life. Lou Bennett, institutionalized. Frank Dorsey, homeless. Charlie Ross, vanished, never returned. And the 10 who stayed? 7 dead. 3 broken. Harlem remembered. 3 men made it out of the warehouse alive, burned, shaken, and changed forever. The rest of the Klan members across New York? They disbanded almost overnight, burned their robes, erased their records, vanished into everyday life. The message was clear. Harlem protects its own. Touch Harlem's children and the cost is everything. More than 3,000 people came to Thomas Johnson's funeral at Abyssinian Baptist Church. The casket was closed. Ruth insisted. She wanted people to remember Thomas, how he lived, smiling, driven, full of promise. Bumpy stood beside his sister the entire service. He said nothing. But his eyes, they told a story no words ever could dot. As the casket was lowered, Bumpy stepped forward and placed something on top, a photograph. Thomas, in his Columbia sweatshirt, holding a law book, smiling, and 5 more photographs. Danny Morrison in his garage Rick. Sullivan's burned-out home, Lou Bennett being carried from the woods, Frank Dorsey's destroyed house, the warehouse. Engulfed in flames underneath, a handwritten note. Thomas paid for all of them. Every man who touched you. Every man who supported them. Harlem delivered justice. Rest easy, nephew. Your mother is safe. Your neighborhood is safe. Nobody will ever do this again. I promise. Uncle Bumpy. Ruth looked at the photos, then gently placed her hand on Bumpy's arm. Is it over? It's over. Did they understand? Did they feel what I felt? Bumpy looked at her. Every one of them understands now. What it feels like to lose everything. Ruth nodded. Good. She placed a flower on the casket. My baby wanted to be a lawyer. Wanted to fight injustice in courtrooms. I know. But the courtrooms failed him. The police failed him. The whole system failed him. I know, Bumpy said quietly. She looked at him again. So, you became his justice. He nodded. Double quotes, thank you, she whispered. They stood together. As 3,000 people said goodbye to the lawyer Harlem never got, to the future that was stolen. In 1963, 17 years later, a reporter sat across from Bumpy Johnson. Mr. Johnson, he asked, for years there have been rumors that you were responsible for the deaths and attacks on 12 men in 1946, men allegedly tied to your nephew's death. Do you want to comment? Bumpy was 61 then. Still sharp. Still respected. But tired in a way only time can explain. My nephew believed in justice, he said. He believed in courtrooms. In judges. In the system? And you? The reporter asked. I believed in the law too. Until the law called my nephew's murder a suicide. Until the police filed it away and walked off. Until the system he believed in failed him completely. So, you took justice into your own hands? I didn't take anything, Bumpy said. Justice was owed. If the courts won't deliver it, it comes from somewhere else. But doesn't that make you just as guilty as... Bumpy cut him off. As who? The men who ended a 19-year-old's life because he was black and brilliant? The police who covered it up? The system that's failed black families since this country was born? The reporter fell quiet. You want to know if I regret it? Bumpy continued. I regret that it had to happen. That in 1946, 1 year after fighting fascism overseas, we were still fighting terror right here at home. I regret my nephew died believing the system would protect him. But those men who died, they got back exactly what they gave. They took a life. Their lives were taken. They destroyed a future. Their futures were erased. That's not revenge. That's balance. Bumpy stood up. The interview was over. He paused at the door. One more thing, he said. Since September 1946, not once has the KKK set foot in Harlem again. You know why? Because sometimes the only thing that stops terror is the certainty that terror will be answered. That's not me being a criminal. That's me being what the law should have been. The reporter never published that interview. But the story never needed ink. It passed through Harlem like memory, like legend, like warning, like promise. Touch Harlem's children, and Harlem will touch you back. Not with lawyers. Not with courtrooms. With something older. More final. Thomas Johnson wanted to be a lawyer. But when the law failed, his uncle became his justice, and the 5 men who killed him, and the 10 who backed them, learned what justice looks like when the system closes its eyes. 7 days. 12 men destroyed. One message that echoed for generations: Harlem protects its own. If this story made you think about justice, real justice, hit that subscribe button. We're not glorifying violence. We're telling the truth about what happens when black communities are left to protect themselves. Because no one else will. Drop a comment. Was this justice or revenge? When the law calls a lynching a suicide, what options are left? Where's the line? Turn on notifications. We're bringing you the stories that didn't make it into textbooks. The untold moments of Bumpy Johnson, the man who stood between Harlem and the hate that came for it. Remember Thomas Johnson. 1927 to 1946. The lawyer Harlem never got. The reason the KKK never came back. Rest in power.